Today we're looking at the era of good feelings. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Also, don't forget to check out dailybellringer.com for resources that go with many of the Bellringer videos. The era of good feelings was a brief period from about 1815 to 1824 in American history in which political parties all but disappeared during the presidency of James Monroe. In order to understand this time period, you have to take into account a lot of different contributing factors. The two dominant political parties were the Federalists, who believed in a federal government that had more power, and the other major political party was the Democratic Republicans, or just Republicans, who had more of a hands-off or laissez-faire approach to government, with less power being held by the federal government. In 1815, the United States signed the Treaty of Ghent, ending the War of 1812 against the British. The victory in the War of 1812 stirred a strong sense of nationalism in the nation. Shortly before the Treaty of Ghent was signed, ending the war, the Federalist Party had held the Hartford Convention in Hartford, Connecticut. New England had always been a Federalist stronghold, and so the Federalists had been opposed to going to war with Britain to begin with in the War of 1812, and they had several issues they were upset about with the government. And you have to consider as well, there had not been a Federalist president since John Adams, who was defeated by Thomas Jefferson back in 1800. During Jefferson's presidency, the Embargo Act had been imposed, which cut off foreign trade and severely hurt New England merchants. Some at the Hartford Convention even called for New England to secede from the Union, but instead they agreed to send negotiators to Washington, D.C. to insist on changes to the U.S. Constitution to limit the power of the president. Well, right about the time they send their negotiators to Washington and everything they discussed at the convention became known by the public, about that same time, Andrew Jackson won the Battle of New Orleans. Now this strong patriotism swept the country, and anyone questioning the government basically looked like a traitor. So the Federalists were viewed in a very, very bad light. In 1816, Democratic-Republican James Monroe defeated Federalist candidate Rufus King in a landslide election to win the presidency. Seeing that the Federalists were basically standing on their last leg, Monroe made it his mission during his presidency to, for a lack of better words, eliminate the Federalist Party and really eliminate the need for political parties altogether. Monroe was basically looking back to George Washington, who had warned in his farewell address about the dangers of partisan politics and how, in Washington's view, political parties were dangerous to democracy. So Monroe refused to appoint any Federalists to different government positions within his administration. And then in the summer of 1817, President Monroe went on a tour of the United States. He held rallies, met with community leaders, shook hands, did all the typical things politicians usually do in campaigning. But this was not a campaign. This was a strategy to stir up patriotism among Americans and further weaken the Federalist Party. Arguably the most famous moment of this trip was in July when Monroe visited Boston. Boston had long been a city controlled by the Federalist Party. Monroe arrived at the rally there in Boston dressed in a Revolutionary War officer's uniform, and Boston had arranged for 2,000 girls to attend the event dressed in white dresses with red roses as a symbol of unity between the Republican and Federalist parties. On July 12th, Benjamin Russell, a writer for the Columbian Sentinel, wrote a story about the event and titled it Era of Good Feelings, and the name stuck. Monroe continued to ride this popularity throughout his presidency, being able to push through several different policies, including his Monroe Doctrine, telling European powers to stay out of the Western Hemisphere. Monroe would win re-election in 1820 by the largest margin ever, except for George Washington, who of course won unanimously. But Monroe ran unopposed for president and got 231 of 232 electoral votes, only missing one electoral vote, with that one going to John Quincy Adams. This period of political rest, however, did not last for very long, as when the presidential election of 1824 came along, we had four different candidates all fighting for the presidency. So even though there was really only one party, we have these four candidates who were nominated to run representing different factions within the country with different ideas. So we had John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Henry Clay, and William Crawford all running for president. And when the election was held, there was really no clear winner in the Electoral College. So the House of Representatives decided the election, giving it to Adams. This caused a major split as there was a lot of support for Jackson in the election. Now we had two new parties that emerged, the Democrats following Jackson and the Whig Party following Adams. The era of good feelings was really good in name only. There were still many wrongs going on in the nation, and there were lots of disagreements on how to handle different issues. In the end, the era was simply a resting point before launching into a period of sectionalism that would eventually lead to civil war. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.